Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Good day in Facebook land. Hope you all are doing well. For those who don't know who I am, my name is James Weeks. I'm the author of the book Meditations Across the King's River. Um, and I'm sorry, I'm the author of the book Meditations Across the King's River. I help people with strategies for emotional wellness, spiritual wellness, financial wellness. For more information about me, visit acrossthekingsriver.com. Today, I'm honored to have a very special guest with us, Bermuda based mind, body, spirit healer, um, Latoya Thomas, who has been doing amazing work in Bermuda. She's on a mission to help heal our planet in her bringing her wisdom and her medicine. So, Latoya, without further ado, just welcome.
Thank you, James. I
Mhm.
appreciate that. I appreciate the introduction.
Oh, sure. So, I was wondering if you could share with us just your commitment to wellness, where it all began, why it's important to you, why you feel it should be important to all of us. You've been on this journey for what, over a decade? Could you talk about
A
that
little bit longer than that, yeah.
a little bit longer
Um,
than?
yeah, I think my journey to wellness or with wellness began where I was born in Jamaica. I was born in a place called Fruitfulville, Jamaica, and the space lived true to its name. I often tell people that I felt that I was born in the arms of Mother Earth. It's such a beautiful space, untouched, really and truly, in terms of development. Most houses in the space are made out of wood, and we lived by a river, still live by the river. Um, we had multiple plants, herbs in our yard, and if we didn't have it, our neighbor had it. So I grew up with a grandma who used nature for healing. I grew up around elders and people who depended on the earth and the land to sustain them. So in terms of you know living at one with nature, I got to experience that in the early part of my life. And then I moved to the United States, where there isn't as much natural spaces available. It's more of a concrete jungle. Um, so I moved away from eating from the land and living on the land and being at one with the land to eating McDonald's and getting moving from inside your house to inside your car to driving to another building. So I kind of lost touch with nature for a while. And then when I went to university, I started, you know, I guess taking that sense coca journey back to focusing on the earth and eating well and living well. So it's
Well,
really good.
that's so powerful. Could you remind me, like, how old were you, like, when you left Jamaica?
I was 8. I was 8 years old.
8. Okay. So then this grandmother that you said she had all these, like, medicinal plants. What was she like? And did you spend a lot of time with her or with your mom?
So it wasn't just my grandma. It was the knowledge of nature and healing was with everyone, the men, the women. But my grandma in particular, yes, she raised me. My mom left and went to the States. She was like an economic refugee, if you must. She left and went to the States for a better life when I was 2 years old. So I was raised by my grandparents. So essentially, I was spoiled. Um, and my grandma, she was an incredibly powerful woman in terms of just things that she did within the community. She was a politician, and she was responsible for like giving out what would be called like welfare assistance to the people in the community. So everybody knew her, and she knew everyone. But she, so aside from her work as a politician, she was a grandmother, and she would care for us, and she did that using the herbs in our yard. If somebody was sick, it would, somebody have a common cold, one of us would be sent to the yard to go get what we call rat ears. I don't know the botanical name for it, but we call it rat ears. And she would take that rat ears and tie it in a cloth and beat the cloth and then wring whatever juices out of it, and you were getting a teaspoon or a tablespoon of that. And so my grandma was a powerful woman. I, she's actually one of my heroes in terms of people that I look to and call on to this day. And I know that she's with me because people like that, they don't, their physical might leave, but their spirit never leaves. So
Well, you know, that's such a blessing that you were born and you spent the early years of your life in a setting surrounded by nature and you had that connection to nature because, well, I'm from St. Croix, Virgin Islands, right?
okay.
But that experience that you've had, is part of what so many people are missing um,
Hmm.
in life. And I feel that's part of the healing that we need. So many people don't have, that connection to nature was taken away from us and is still taking away from us. We don't, for the most part, we don't grow our own food. We're not involved in the creation of our own medicines. You know, so many of us have lost touch with not only our roots but elders.
Hmm.
Um, so it's the blessing that you had is part of, I the journey that we all have to get back to for our own well. What are your thoughts on this?
So whenever people ask me what healing means to me or what that represents to me, I always say it's a return to wholeness. It's a return to being whole again. And you can't be whole again without being connected to nature. So I think that it's important that we connect with nature regardless of where you're living. If you live in the city, there are green spaces. So making time out of your day to sit, in a park for 5 minutes is important. Or if you are fortunate enough to be by the water, like myself, I'm right by the ocean. So that's where I go and take my space of refuge. Whenever I go on a walk, I usually end up by the water. When I go back to Jamaica, the first places I'm going are the rivers because those are the places that call to my soul. So I think it's important for us to understand, in ancient times, the earth and women were considered to be gods because they were the only two things that could give form to life, you know. And when I was doing my yoga training, my instructor, Yasir Rahutep from Yoga Skills, he always spoke about the life force energy. He's like, yeah, you breathe in oxygen, and oxygen, helps to sustain your life, but it's the life force energy in that oxygen that that's giving you life. And I think nature has so much life force energy, and so that's why, oftentimes we gravitate towards nature.
Well, I love how you said that how people, regardless of where they live, uh, can find a way to connect with nature in their area. I think that's also powerful. I do know that with especially like with technology and everyone's connected to cell phones and laptops 24/7. Uh, People often don't make that time, And so when I work with people, one of the questions that I often ask is, in addition to like a practice in nature is having some type of spiritual practice. Is that a big part of what you do as you work with people? This spiritual practice?
Yeah, and yeah, definitely. Because there are four major aspects to our lives: the spirit, the mind, mental, uh, the emotional aspect, and then the physical aspect. So the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and the physical. And for me, the spirit is at the top of the pyramid in terms of prioritizing. Um, but it's for me, spirit and nature are connected. So in terms of a spiritual practice, for me, that might be meditating in nature. I try to do that daily. Um, in, so yeah, definitely having some type of practice. Some people might go to church, and that's what your spiritual practice is. Some people, again, might meditation might be a spiritual practice. Some people might have their altars or sacred spaces where they go whenever they want to tap into spirit. So yeah, making sure that you are taking care of that aspect of yourself is important, but it looks different for everyone.
I love how you said that it looks different for everyone because one of the things that I've realized on my own journey is that too often people get caught up in what other people are doing. So they hear somebody's doing this and they think, well, they have to do that. They think someone's going down, a certain path. They think, well, that has to be their path. So, and what I realize is even though, you know, we may all be on a similar path, those paths are unique to each of us depending on what suits our personality, but also what our life plan is.
Hmm.
And it's important that we realize that our life plan is unique, as well
Exactly.
as how we express our life purpose is that uniqueness. So so you moved to from Jamaica to the United States at the age of 8. But then tell us more about this trajectory about like this healing journey. Like, okay, I guess you started having more of an awareness. You wanted to get back to nature and wellness. So how did that look like, from that time to where you are today?
So what did that look like? It looked like a lot of pain. It looked like a lot of questioning myself. It looked like a lot of joy as well. Life is a journey, as we know, and it's multidimensional and multi-layered. I know that sometimes some of my greatest spiritual awakenings happened after I go through something that's incredibly painful. Um, and it doesn't have to be that way. I've learned that now, and I'm learning how to appreciate that as well. But for me, that was my journey. So yeah, so coming from Jamaica when I was 8, and then getting lost in the sauce a few months of the American way of life, and then saying, hey, I really want to focus more so back on myself and like reclaim my culture. And I'm going to keep using that word this time, culture journey. I literally had to make a journey back to self. I had to like tap into myself as an African woman first and foremost. What does that look like now that I'm here? At the time when I was living in the United States. So it for me it was reclaiming our symbolism, my growing my locks, loving my natural self, because oftentimes we're not taught to love our natural selves, seeing this dark skin as being a badge of honor rather than a badge of shame. I think oftentimes when we come into our spiritual awakening, we tend to lean towards that, like that love and light. Everything wants to be love and light and peace and love. But I also had to look at my shadows, look at the things where my shadows in terms of my insecurities, my shortcomings, um, look at my trauma, the things that I experienced that scarred me in certain ways, and I had to call on spirit to help me to heal from those things. And in all honesty, me connecting with you was it was I feel like a response to my request for healing and for guidance and for support on my journey. So the journey is it's not linear. So it's very multidimensional.
Right. I love how you talk about pain. I forget how you expressed it, but how the pain helped you in some ways. And that's one of the things that I've learned too on my own journey. When I look back at things that didn't go my way, the way how I wanted them to go, I realize now that wow, it was such a blessing because it forced me and it forced me to go like deep inside and to develop other gifts. And so I wouldn't have had those gifts, some of the things that give me the greatest joy now. I
Hmm.
wouldn't have had them if things went just the way I thought that they should go. So I feel that on our journey, if we could find a way, no matter what we're going through, to find out, like, well, where is the gold or where is the treasure in what we're going through? Maybe something powerful. We could do something more powerful with our lives. And yes, what Charles is saying too is like our journey is just not linear. Even on my own journey, is so many things that have happened to me. When I look back at them, it seems so like chaotic, right? But
Yeah.
I realized that it was part of a greater plan. Like, it wasn't chaotic. It's just that the ancestors were just organizing things in their own way, in their own time, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's important to know the right questions to ask, especially when you're going through a painful situation. I've come to the conclusion right now that like everything that happens in my life is a lesson or a blessing. And it's like, what is the lesson in this? If something isn't going my way, the question that I ask now is, what is the lesson in this? What am I missing? You know, what didn't I know before that I'm going to learn now? So just just having knowing the right questions to ask, you know, and understanding how our perspective of a situation can shape what we think that situation is, rather than just being open to receiving whatever the medicine is in that situation.
Well, um, one of the things that I've admired about you, well, there's a lot of things I admire, right? But one of the things is that, I look at some of the things that you share, some of the posts that you share, and it's clear that you tend to look at life in a more optimistic way. It's like you are constantly trying to find the beauty in things around you.
Yeah.
And I know it comes from a sincere place of that's how you see it. And that's the value that you see. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people tend to tune into more of the negative side of what life is throwing at them. How do you manage to find that space of, you know, magic? I want to call it magic in the face of all that, you know, we are going through.
I think we had a similar conversation not too long ago, but I remain hopeful. I think that in order for you to be optimistic, you have to have hope. And the I have hope because I have seen how spirit has guided me and has taken me from where I was to where I am. And I know that my journey's not done yet. So I know that there's more to come, and I look towards that, that more to come with optimism. Um, so, yeah, I have hope. I have hope. I think in order for you to be optimistic, you have to have hope, and I'm hopeful, about life. And like, life is such a blessing and a gift. Like, every day that I wake up, I'm like, yo, thank you. This is an opportunity for me to co-create my reality right now with the creator. So what is like life is what like I often wonder like why aren't more people optimistic? If you look back, if you are able to reflect on your life, hasn't life been good to you? Like life has been good to me. How can I be ungrateful? Like so,
Wow. Uh, so you did something recently that's so powerful. You took a vision of yours, you turned it into a reality. You had this idea for doing a retreat, a healing retreat in Jamaica. You offered it to a group of women. A number of women said yes, they want to come with you. They want to go to Jamaica for healing. You did this
bless their
powerful,
souls.
and it's so powerful to me because so many people have ideas to do things, but they never do it. But you followed through. What was that like for you? I mean, I know from what I've been reading, it was such a powerful experience
Hold
for
on.
you and the women who left.
My
Could you tell?
apologize. My puppy's barking. Um, so first, let's not discredit the role that you played in that
Okay.
in in that retreat coming to fruition. I think I was a couple months before um, I started putting the plan in action for the retreat. I did a reading with you,
Right.
and um, in the reading, you said that you saw me during retreat, and I trust your guidance. And I think it was the day after I had the reading, I hosted a yoga class for the community, and one of the ladies that was in the class was like, "Oh, I'm looking to get my sister a gift, and I wanted to, you know, um, get her a gift at a wellness retreat or something. Do you know of any retreats happening?" And I was like, "This can't be real." And then, like, a couple of people asked me, "When are you going to start hosting retreats?" This was a couple of days after the reading. So then I was like, "Okay, let me get pen to paper and start planning this retreat out." And that's what I did. I took the guidance and started putting meat on the bones a few months. And yeah, it wasn't. A lot of my friends always say, "You just come up with an idea and then you go out and you do it." And what a lot of people don't understand is that you have to do things even if you're scared, even if you're uncertain, even if you feel like you don't have the skills or the knowledge, or because I feel like a lot of times people stop themselves from doing something because they feel like they're not equipped, you know. But in terms of the retreat, there was this knowing that I had inside of me. Yes, through your guidance and through others just, affirming what it was that you stated, there was a knowing that I also had that this was going to be okay. So it wasn't smooth sailing, but there was this peace that anchored me like, oh, regardless of what happens, the lesson or the blessing, what are you going to take from this? So, yeah, so thank you um, for that. And yeah.
So, so if I were to ask you, what lessons did you learn from holding that retreat, or what's some of the feedback you got from the women that you took to Jamaica?
So the lessons that I learned, right? So when I was in Jamaica, there was this message that I kept getting, like through spirit, if you want to call it that. And the lesson was you need to be more courageous. You need to have more courage. So and every time I heard that, like I would be in meditation, and that would be the lesson that would come through. You need to have more courage. Um, and every time I heard that, I got scared because I knew exactly what it meant. um, so, so the feedback from some of the women was like they had a phenomenal time. For me, it's important to create safe spaces, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do. Number one. Number two, I wanted to bring people into a space that was not only physically beautiful, but the environment was also beautiful. And where we hosted the villa, I mean, where we hosted the retreat, the villa was gorgeous. It's called Heaven Villa, and it kind of lives up to its name. Um, we're in Portland, Jamaica, which, when you talk about untouched land and nature surrounding you, I don't think there's another parish in Jamaica that's as beautiful as Portland. Um, the rainforest, essentially. You're surrounded by fruit. So the majority of the women, if not all of them, said that they had a phenomenal time. They enjoyed each other's company. They got time to reflect. They got time to create new friendships. And then just the lessons that were learned, either from, we had yoga every morning, and there was a particular topic that each day had a particular topic. And we would, just expound on that topic and try to apply it to our lives. So, yeah, everybody had a really and truly great time overall.
So, how can people get in contact with you for other retreats you'll be leading in the future?
So I am. on Instagram as empowered me wellness, empowered underscore me underscore wellness. My email is info at emw.yoga. That's info at emw, as in elephant, M as in Mary, W as in wellness.
So
um,
info at EM Wellness,
emw.yoga. Info.
EMW dot
Yeah.
yoga
Yeah.
dot com.
EMW for empowered me wellness. Dot
Okay.
yoga.
Okay.
That's
Info at EMW dot yoga dot com.
no, just dot yoga.
Dot yoga. Okay. So I shared it in the link.
That's my email address.
All right. So I shared that in the link if anyone wants to get in contact with you for future retreats. Um, or you could get in contact with me and I'll forward your info. I'll, connect you to Latoya. So I want to ask you this question. So we're in the last quarter of 2023. What would be your tips to people for their own wellness? What tips would you give for them to maximize the rest of the year and to maximize 2024? What do you feel people should focus on or not focus on?
I think focusing on self care, and I know that that word is being thrown here, there, and everywhere, but it means different things to different people. For me, right now, I am increasing my meditation practice because I find that meditation is so beneficial for me. So it helps me to become more self-aware. So just focus on yourself. Focus on the things that you do that makes you happy, that is focused on healing and wellness. So if that means going for a walk, take walks more often. You know, if you walk once a day now, try to walk twice a day if you can, or if you walk once or twice a week, try to do it 3 or 4 times. Just the things that, focus on developing your health and your overall wellness, eating well, incorporating more greens, growing a garden if you can, going out in nature, getting more sunlight, taking vitamins if you feel like you need to, going to the doctors and getting a complete blood analysis so you're aware of what's going on internally. But like just taking care of yourself, like you only get one opportunity to be in this body, to be in this awareness, to be in this time. So taking care of yourself as much as possible.
I love how you said that we only have one opportunity to be in this body. Um, I love that, you know, as well as your tips. Um, wow. Um, any more closing thoughts?
Well, my only closing thought is just be good to yourself and be good to each other. Simple things. Those things are those, they make the biggest difference. They make the biggest difference.
I want to say that recently I was talking to a good friend of mine and about this whole idea of not only taking care of ourselves but to be able to enjoy ourselves. And it just to embrace more joy into our lives seems like such, to be honest, like a revolutionary thing to do because we live in a world where there's so much crisis happening every day on every globe. you know People, on some level, even though there's always issues, there's always crisis, we forget that part of our journey to earth is to enjoy this, until we tend not to, or maybe we feel guilty doing so. But when I look at your post, it reminds me, well, no, you know we have to enjoy this. Why should you not enjoy Jamaica? Why should you not enjoy rest?
Exactly. Life is about enjoyment, you know. In Nigeria, the enjoyment, okay? You have to. Like, I laugh a lot. And, like, even in my household, I have such a fun loving and happy household. And, like, even some of the heavy things, we lighten them through laughter. So, yeah, and I enjoy my friends' company. And I know for me, I have to get together with my girlfriends at least once or twice a month. But yeah, and go to Jamaica and go to Africa and just enjoy the things there, especially the food. Enjoy
Wow.
the
Yeah. So
food.
could you share your social media handle again? Somebody is asking. So
So
for Instagram, could you tell me again what it is?
it's Empowered Me Wellness.
Empowered.
With the ED. Empowered Me Wellness.
Okay. Empowered Me Wellness. All right.
That's on Instagram.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for taking time out to share your wisdom with us. You have some powerful wisdom. So I really respect your journey, here to support your journey as you move forward. So, to the listening audience, I hope you do get into contact with our Caribbean sister, and I do hope that you take her up on, some of these retreats that she'll be offering for you. It's for your wellness, it's for your upliftment, and I know that you won't be disappointed. So, thank you all for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, James.